Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jay Barabee.
And I'm Matt Tringali.
And we got an awesome video coming up for you. Matthew, what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about the 5 key constraints that hold a business back from truly being able to scale and grow.
Sounds awesome, man. Can't wait.
Hey, this is Matthew Tringali, CEO and co-founder of BetterWho. And one of the things that I have been thinking a lot about lately is the fact that industry reports show that 50% of third-party single-family residential property management companies are only managing 100 units or less. And only 85% are all managing 500 units or less, right? That means only 15% have made it over that 500 unit mark. The median in our industry is 100 units. And so here at BetterWho, we've had the opportunity at this point over the years to coach and consult with hundreds of different property management companies. And I'm seeing a very clear pattern that I want to talk about here with you today. And so there are 5 key things that are holding companies back from breaking through those barriers. The first revolves around leadership and mindset. And so it starts with generally the business owner or even just key leaders in the business. So anytime I'm consulting with a company, I always ask them, who are the it's just easier if I do it myself people? And there's always at least one person in the room that raises their hand. Sometimes it's the business owner, sometimes it's somebody else. And the insidious thing about that mindset is they're not wrong. It is easier if you just do it yourself this time. The problem is it's much harder in the long run. And so for a lot of our clients, a lot of the work is just around breaking out of that mindset. So for a lot of companies, that's the main constraint that's holding them back. They can't get past that because the business owner continues to get pulled into the weeds, not just because they're getting pulled into the weeds, but because they think they have to rescue and they're not finding ways to delegate and elevate their team. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is a lack of financial resources. So a lot of management companies, they've built their business in a way that they don't have enough margin to correct the problems that they're having. And so they get stuck in the weeds because they can't invest in the right resources, the right technology, the right tools, the right coaching, the right people. And so because they can't invest in those things, they stay small, they stay stuck, they can't break through those barriers. Issue number 3 is right people, right seats. And I know a lot of gets said, and everybody's heard this term, people right seats, and it can sound cliche at this point, but it's actually one of these main 5 constraints that for a lot of business leaders, even once they've adopted the right mindset where they're ready to start delegating and elevating, the problem is if they don't have the right org chart and they don't have the right people on their team with the right company culture and the right mindset, the right skills, the right training, then there's no point in delegating. You can delegate all you want to, but if your team can't do the work, then of course the business owner is going to get stuck back in the weed. And then it's even more frustrating because they want to be delegating, but they can't. We see this problem a lot with our coaching and consulting clients where a leader's ready to make that change, but they're stuck and they can't because they just don't have the right team or the right people in the right seats. Issue number 4 is one that I'm very passionate about, which is a lack of an integrator. And so a lot of people hear this word integrator and there's a category for it, but a lot of people misunderstand it. A lot of people think that's your ops director, but an integrator is actually different than that. The whole idea of an integrator is to integrate the different functions that exist within your business. And there are 3 main functions that exist. There's ops, there's finance, and there's growth. Right? Ops, finance, and growth. So you have a visionary that's often the business owner. And a lot of times that business owner, that visionary also gets stuck into being the integrator, or they try to get somebody who's more involved in ops to be their integrator. But the problem is it's not a true integrator unless you have that right category where they are able to have their hands in all 3 of those main functions in a meaningful way. I find very few businesses have a true integrator on their team. So a lot of businesses can get to around 250 units. It's really hard to scale from there unless you have that great right-hand person to take your business to the next level. And it's very tricky to place that position because you can't easily just hire for it. And I've seen a lot of companies try where they try to just hire somebody and put them in a role like that, or they recognize that need exists and so they just promote somebody before recognizing if that person really has the capacity and they really can do that job. So really it's a longer path to identify the right person you may need to hire for that position, or you might have somebody on your team that can eventually do that position. But it's generally going to be about a 12-month path from there to get that person into doing that position correctly and successfully. And then the fifth and final constraint is around scalable growth. And so for a lot of companies, maybe they're able to break through these other four barriers: the leadership, the lack of resources, right people, right seats, and integrator. From there, you need to have the right growth strategies, which involve marketing and sales. And this is challenging, naturally challenging for a small business, because at the size you're going to be when you really start getting serious about growth, it's not like you can have a full-fledged marketing department and a full-fledged sales department. So a lot of times you have just this one person on your team. In the industry, we'll typically call them a BDM, a business development manager, that's responsible for growth. But the problem is, if you just have one person, they're not going to be good at all of the components around marketing and all of the components around sales. This is why marketing agencies exist. And this is why on sales teams you have appointment setters and closers and various roles that exist. And so this is a constraint that can exist that needs to be solved in a variety of ways. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today, these 5 issues. And it falls into, here at BetterWho, what we like to call the foundation of the 4 pillars. The foundation of every company needs to be the leadership, and the 4 pillars need to be around team, profit, system, and growth. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.